Hola, and amigos, and welcome to Keyframers, the animated collaborative coding livestream where we bring imaginative user interfaces to life. I'm your host, Stephen Shaw, but you may know me as @Shashaw.
And I'm your host, David Khorshid, also known as @DavidKPiano.
And together we are coding compadres, animation amigos, Boolean buddies, and keyframe companions.
Yeah, so today we'll be creating an animation from Dribble from scratch live using HTML, CSS, and a little bit of JavaScript.
Just a tiny, tiny bit, hopefully.
Actually, probably a lot.
Yeah, it might take a
We'll
good
talk
bit.
about it.
Yeah. Well, this show is made possible by your support at patreon.com/keyframers. You can sign up there to support us on a monthly basis, and that helps us out a ton, helps us get the equipment and internet connections that we need to run these streams properly. So sign up there, become a patron, become our Animigo, and we will be forever grateful for that.
Yeah, and it's good because we have, no corporate sponsors. But anyway, we're happy to answer any questions that you may have, so reach out in the chat or comments below. And no, CodePen does not, well, actually, be.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So what's going on today, David?
Today, today's Monday, right?
It is.
A lot goes on Mondays.
It's a busy time. Can be.
Yeah. So, I'm excited that we actually get to do a fun animation today based on the flip technique. And so I'm sort of getting ahead of myself when we talk about the flip technique, but let's actually take a look at the animation.
Yeah, let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, get over to our animation here. So what we'll be working on today is an animation called Blown Artworks and News Platform Artist Interpage Animation by Zinnia. We've done a few of her animations so far. She's just got a really good style. I like what's happening with her stuff. But you can see there's a lot of transitions where one element kind of moves to a different part of the screen, but it seems like it's the same element, but it changes size, it changes a little bit of what's going on with it, so one of the ways we accomplish that is using the flip technique, where we record where an object is and what it looks like, and then record where we want it to be, and then invert that in between. We'll go into that a little bit more, and then play that animation. So it's a little more complex than just most animations, but it's a very handy technique.
And so a lot of people, developers really, when they look at this, they know how to code, like, for example, the gallery view where we have all of these images together, and also code the detail view, right, where you have one image and you just sort of have this nice description section where you talk about the image. But the hard part comes when the requirement comes that you have to transition smoothly between those two views. Then you're like, what do I do? Do I just rip out all of the HTML and CSS that I've written and just figure out something new? Because we have to get that image to animate nicely from one position to the other. And we're going to show you that no, you really don't have to. And this is something that we've explored a lot in season 1. So I'm really excited to be reinvigorating this in season 2.
Yes, indeed. I am as well. And yeah, looking at it more closely in GIF Scrubber, you can see a lot of the little pieces that come into play. All these little border transitions, the way that as the images come in that kind of navigation view, the way that they twist, with the image staying straight, but the frame around it kind of twisting. So a lot of fun little techniques that we'll be able to get into. And,
Yep, little details.
Yeah. Wanna hop right in?
Yeah, let's jump into the code.
All right. Whoa. Hey, we've got
I did a
no
little bit,
code.
just a tiny bit. Sorry. Well,
Oh,
pretend it's no code. It's
well,
basically
you know
no
what?
code.
I've got to go over to collab mode here.
Oh,
Which you, yeah.
did I overwrite stuff?
Uh, no. Let me make sure. Flip over to collab mode yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go into collab mode. Are we in collab mode?
I don't.
Yeah, for those new to CodePen, CodePen has this great feature called collab mode where 2 or more people can collaborate on the same pen at the same time.
Yes.
Which we have been using for all of our episodes, and it's been a very, very useful tool.
Yes, which I don't think we are looking at the same pin. I think you did some forking.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to exit mine. You send me your collab link.
Yeah, I just sent you another link. Oop.
Awesome. Cool.
Sorry. All right.
And
yeah. Now we're together. You can copy and paste whatever you got so far.
I did not. Okay, fine. Super speed coding. Watch this. It's called copy paste coding. You might be familiar if you've been using Stack Overflow or such. This copy paste coding approach is very popular in pretty much every company. Anyway, cool.
Yes.
We're all set up.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, you've got a good amount set up here. So looking at our HTML, we've got data scene equals gallery. I assume that's going to be kind of our navigation term,
right,
or navigation page. And then under data scene detail, that's going to be kind of the zoomed in.
Right. And so I like separating these into their own data attributes. Now, of course, you could definitely have like gallery or something, or like screen dash gallery or something like that if you're using them, but yeah, I don't know. I like this because it sort of enforces that only one thing can be in this data attribute.
That's right.
So.
And just so we can see really quick, I'm just adding in gallery and detail so we can see what that looks like.
They're together. So
right. One of the ways we can get around this is using that grid layering technique that I talked about a bit last season. Worth checking out a little bit more. Grid template area 1/1.
So what does that do? So grid template area, is that one row and one column?
This is grid area, sorry, and then grid template area 1/1.
All right. So
yes. All right.
What is this shorthand for?
So grid template is short for grid template rows 1, grid template columns 1. I think it's actually reversed so that columns is the first value. So we're basically doing a grid of one column, one row, and then and then each of the layers.
Okay, so we have this defined 1-by-1 grid, and we're just saying that everything goes on top of it.
Right.
And so apparently it is rows and then columns, which sort of annoys me just because a lot of things in CSS are x-axis then y-axis.
Right.
And there's a few things that are y then x, and this is one of those things that's y then x. So yeah, don't yell at us for that. Yell at whoever implemented that spec. So that's wildly inconsistent, but that's okay.
Yes. So for example, if we give gallery a background of red and an opacity of 0.5.
Ooh.
Just to show the layering a little bit better, since it's hard to see with the with all that background green, opacity 0.5. We should get this gross looking color.
Great.
Yeah, or we can get some purple. That's nice. I like purple.
Nice. Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, we don't need to do that for now. We can just focus on one of our views. So I'm just going to say display none for detail, and let's focus on gallery starting out.
Awesome. So what I have here is and we're trying to be semantic here. So I have a bunch of figures, and so the idea is that your figure might have a fig caption and an image in there.
Yes. So going back and looking at the GIF here, we've got the figure, which would be this image, and the caption, which would be just kind of the name of the article or the artwork that's being displayed. And in the chat, Sting was saying, if your grid is a single column, use flex. Flex does work okay in this instance, but using display grid has some benefits. I've explained it before in some of the things, but it'll size everything to the largest item and makes that layout work really well.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons.
And we'll eventually post some examples of previous episodes where we did use that.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So let's see. Data scene equals gallery. All right. So we do need some images for our.
All right. So yeah, while you're doing the images, I'll just add some basic styling for each of those figures, and I'm not going to bother putting a class on the figures because they're figures. It could be nice and semantic like that. So for this gallery, let's just do display flex direction row, and then each figure is going to be, geez, how big? How big should we make it? How about like 5% width? I don't know. I'm not good at estimating sizes, so let's see. Ooh. Okay, cool. So we have some figures. Let's see. And then since each of these data scenes is just 100 by 100%, basically we could specify content. All right, let's do overflow X auto. Nope. Okay, so, but we don't want them to shrink. So,
where'd you set flex? This would be flex 00 auto.
Nice. Cool. So maybe 300 pixels is a little bit too much. 200.
Yeah.
150. Yay, pixel.
And then we also need to set margin 0 on these.
Yeah,
by default, figure has a lot of margin around it. Just one of the browser default styles, which is fun. Let's see. Go back over here. Let's see. Source, and then
for all of them. And yeah, so each figure is going to have an image inside, but we do want to make sure that that image is sized to the height. Wow, that's huge.
Yes, I'm sizing it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Which you would just do in here, image, max width, 100%, height, auto. And then you could take off the height here for now.
Yeah, or what you could do too is they have that like image size cover or something like that. I think we went over.
Yes.
So
that's an option.
Yeah. So now here's the interesting thing about nesting this image inside a figure, which I'll just go ahead and demonstrate over here, is that if we add, let's say, transition, transform, 0.3 seconds, yeah, we'll just leave it at that. And then let's say that, here, I'll just put our figure over here, and let's say we hover it. If the image inside, we scale it to, let's see, transform scale 1.3, then, get the overflow hide. Yeah. Then you see it's a very easy way to have that nice zoom in effect. And of course that transition's a little bit fast, but easy way to do that.
But that's basically the same technique we'll be using for that rotation effect, right?
Yeah, same technique. So the only difference is going to be that we're going to have rotation and counter rotation, if that makes sense. Because if one rotates clockwise, the other one's going to rotate counterclockwise, and that's going to give the illusion that the image is not moving at all, but the frame is moving. So,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
it's a pretty cool technique. So what's fun is we've been doing a lot of our episodes like this where we had different states, and I could work on a different state while Shah works on one state, which is pretty fun.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so for a figure, we've got that.
I'm not going to.
Yeah, and so one thing with figures, since we would have like the fig caption in there, that may actually not be the best approach. We may need an additional wrapper
For
around
the image?
right, wrapping around
Oh, okay.
around
Yeah.
the image, so that
Is
we
it
can do that.
figure or fidger?
The same as GIF.
It's GIF. Just like it's fidger. But that's okay. You could be wrong. That's all right.
We will fight to the death on this one day. Just getting some other photos in here.
All right, fine. I'll give images a class of image wrap. That's okay.
Sure. Works for
And then
me.
that way we could just, we could
Target that.
let's see. So this flex, so instead this is going to go to dot image wrap. This is going to go around here. And yeah, everything else pretty much stays the same. Sort of. I think.
What happened with our? Oh.
Yeah,
that
because
should
I'm
be image. Right there. Under figure, we leave image the same.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, there we go.
All right. Let's see. We need to add that wrap around all the others.
Nice and blue. Why did I make it blue? Well, I guess blue is good for seeing. Right, so the caption. We have our nice, simple, thick caption over there. Where's our overflow hidden?
We did have it on image wrap.
Right. But that image is overtaking. So, I think it's because, wait, no.
It's just the alignment of them. If we do align items, flex start. Is that what you're referring to?
Oh, wait, no, just kidding. I had my div closing in the wrong spot.
Oh.
Yeah. So now it's good.
Right. Okay, cool.
Yep, and so now we could just add a thick caption for all of those.
Yeah, let me do more.
So Dodeca talked about doing object fit. That's a very good idea. And let's tackle the animation first, and then we're going to talk about how object fit could fit into what we're doing. Sorry, that was a terrible pun, but
just awful.
Yeah.
Quality content you've come to expect from keyframers. Let's see.
Wait, I'm making these captions more accurate because you're not.
Yeah, I'm just getting the markup in place. Lake inside rocks. Lake next to rocks. Hello. Rocks again, yes. Yeah, those are the same rocks.
Cool. All right. So this was the very basic part. So we saw about how we could Well, actually, let's do this. Let's do the cool transforming. So when we first get on this page, we have the images come one by one, and we could use nth child to control the duration or the delay between each one of those. I think that's what the original one does. Let me take a look again. No, they all come in at the same time. Never mind. Okay, so they all come in at the same time and they all rotate at the same time. And so that's going to be on the image wrap. So we could have this animation rotate, and then let's just say 0.3 seconds. And then, or fine, rotate wrap.
Because we will need another rotate for image.
The image.
As well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So image here, you can do, yeah, direct animation, rotate, image, 3 seconds. Actually, what I like to do here, animation inherit, animation name, rotate, wrap. Rotate.
But it's going to go the opposite direction.
Image, yes. Right, but it'll have the same duration and the same easing in theory. But we can override those as needed. Keyframes, rotate image. That should probably be more like 1 second. Oops.
Oh. Sure, no fun.
Translate Y, 50 viewport height. Whoa, oh, yeah. The order of transforms is very important. There we go. And then from transform, rotate 20 degrees.
Okay, so yeah, we're going from -20 to 20. Whoa, that was a...
Yeah, that's one of the...
So what we want to do here, we could scale, let's say 2 for now. We'll adjust that later. Cool.
Yeah, and
that's so trippy. Maybe not 2, maybe like 1.1 or something. No, we still get a little... Yeah. So basically the technique that we're showing is layering transitions. And so you could get really cool effects really cheaply and easily by just applying 2 different transforms to parents and child elements. That's going to create that cool effect that you see. Now, instead of reloading your page every time to debug these animations, you could also go into the animations drawer in your Chrome or Firefox DevTools. Maybe Safari, actually not Safari. I don't think it has that. So,
right. Yeah. Sometimes it's not right there, but if you have your console drawer open, there's the animations tab there, and you can record the animations when it loads. So let's make just a meaningless change here. And then you can see that animation recorded. And you can scrub back and forth, I believe. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And watch in slow motion as that comes into place. And it looks like our clipping is happening oddly. Is our figure still? Yeah, our figures still overflow. And so let's, oops, no, that's that.
Oh, so did we leave the overflow hidden on?
No, it doesn't look that way. Let's see.
All right, so let's go to the next view. And so what we could do is just copy paste one of these images to our detail view.
We'll say scene detail, display block.
Yep. Huge. All right, that's good though. means we're on the correct view. I mean, this is really a detailed view. It's like if you really want to see that third mountain in the background, there you go. Okay, so let's make
we've got that way down here.
Oh, okay. Just kidding.
Yeah, but this image wrap code we do need to put in that other view because we don't want that same animation happening in the detail view.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay, yeah, let's tame the size on this a little bit. Right now it's huge. It's yeah, so we only have like this styling for the gallery, so let's go ahead and move that into detail. But we're going to already in detail. We're going to make this a little bit bigger. Let's just say 300 pixels. And of course, you could refine this by using CSS Grid, something like that. So. I'm just adding a little bit of, yeah. And then, yeah, okay, cool. So we have our big detail view image in the center. And so the idea is basically we're going to be going from that that gallery view to that detail view, depending on which image is clicked.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that we could go ahead and start doing that. Oh, I also have like these article tags set up just so that we could like the rocks, and then let's just do a little lorem over here. What's cool in CodePen is you could just do lorem and then press tab, and then you have like a whole paragraph. And if I do it again, I'm going to do another paragraph. Then it's going to be a different paragraph. Boom.
Nice. Yeah,
so,
that handy emit feature.
Yeah, it's a nice, it's a special variety of rock. It's Latin rocks. You only find them in Spain.
You can find them at the root of pretty much every country.
Wow. Why are you using rems?
What? No.
I'm against rems.
Hey, thanks for subscribing, VinnyCode. Subscribing with that wonderful Twitch Prime. Which, if you are an Amazon Prime member, you have Twitch Prime, and you can use it on this channel, and that helps us out. And you can do that each and every month. So go right ahead if you feel so inclined. All right, so rocks. All right, so we're looking at the
rocks. Yes.
Transition. The rock, huh? All right, so for the article title, it actually has an animation coming in. Let's do.
All right, so I was going to translate big rocks into Latin, but never mind. It's all right, fine, I'll do it. This is Latin.
Magna Saxa. Huh.
Yes. That translates to big rocks.
I'm sure it does.
It does.
Let's see.
Some clarifying emojis there.
Exactly.
Anyway. All right, so shall we talk about, actually let's do this. We do have to add a little bit of JavaScript because in order to make this dynamic, we want to be able to go from one view to the next. Otherwise, this whole this whole thing doesn't really make much sense because the user will only view one rather than the other. So let's go ahead and do that, and let's look at just different ways we could approach that. So at the top of our app, we have data state equals detail. And so you can imagine that that would, change based on whether we're in the detail or the gallery view. And so data state equals detail. So we could say that when we're in the detail view, then then data scene equals detail is going to be bold display flex.
We can always use let's see. Right. Display.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And so in previous episodes we have there's a short JavaScript snippet that you could do to have this automatically be done, but we'll do it manually just to so basically what this says is that when the data state is detail, anything that's a data scene but not detail, we want it hidden. Same thing with gallery. Anything that's not gallery, we just want to hide it.
And let's see. That doesn't seem to be working because don't mind me. Okay. So yes, I changed it to gallery up here. If I change this to detail, boom. And then, yeah.
Cool. So now let's, instead of manually changing it in the code, let's add a click event handler. So I guess when we click the first images, L images, actually los images equals document.query selector all, and we're going to get those. Actually, the images, right? Or the image wrap. Let's do the image wrap. It seems like a nice safe click area.
The entire figure is probably the right approach.
Okay. Or only for the figures inside of data scene equals gallery. And then we're going to add an events handler to each one of those. So los, what did we do before? Array.from los images dot for each L image. L image dot add event listener. Click, and whenever we click one of these, we're going to change the data state. Oh, sorry. So const L app equals document.query selector app. So whenever we click one of these images, we're going to change the states to lapp.dataset.state equals Let's see if that works. That does work. Nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we need to add some kind of toggling there. We can say, just for simplicity's sake, gallery or a detail. This way.
Oh, so like a
just a quick ternary.
like a state machine, but not.
Is that working? Oh.
All right. So los images, I only have it on gallery. So.
Right. We can probably just add the click event to the app itself.
You want to do that?
Just for simplicity's sake, we're only trying to toggle between one view right now.
Okay, just for now. And so this is a good way to get started with prototyping too, if you don't want to add all the functionality at the very get-go.
Let's see, we've got a question in the chat. Is this type of scene transition only possible if all the content is on the page at once? I'm guessing you can't do these sort of transitions between pages unless you use React or Vue.
That's a good question. So thinking about how animations are usually done in Vue or React or Angular, a lot of the times we have this bad habit as front-end developers of once we're done with one scene, we're like, okay, delete that view and then put the new view on there. And so there's no state where you have both views at the same time. But in order to get those smooth transitions, you sort of need those two views like on top of each other. So yeah, it is possible. It's definitely possible. And the key is to just not, to have, honestly, to have visual stuff be more CSS powered than JavaScript powered. And by that I mean, when something is supposed to be hidden, don't just delete it from the virtual DOM or whatever you do in Vue and Angular or React, but instead just, I don't know, add a class, add a state, add a data attribute that says you should be hidden. And then you could easily, smoothly animate away from, that view when it's not supposed to be in view. Like a nice fade out or something.
Well, this is one area that Vue.js really shines with the transition element, or the transition component and transition group component. So in that instance, yes, Vue makes it really easy to do that. There's also a library called barba.js that allows you to do some really cool page transitions. Let's see. Post that link in the chat. Is that still? Yeah. That's still the way to go. And thanks for subscribing with Twitch Prime, Tiki Talks. Appreciate that. But yeah, check out Barba. That's a good library for handling those transitions between completely different pages, not doing like a single page app kind of deal. All right, so we're toggling between views.
Yeah, so we're most of the way there, like a good 1%, just because we haven't really gone into the flip technique yet. So, what is flip? Been talking about this a lot. Let me go to the
what the flip is
flip article that was written by AeroTwist, aka Paul Lewis from Google. He wrote this a few years ago, and it's not a new technique. Actually, it's been used in many different places other than the web, but we're using it in the web, of course. And so flip is an easy to remember mnemonic for implementing like this illusion that things are moving from one place to the other based on layout changes. So F stands for first, which means we get the position of our elements that we want to move from scene to scene, and we just get the width, height, left, right, all of those positions. Basically, everything you get from get what's it called? Get bounding clients rect.
Yes.
It's a long function to remember. And then last means you do the transition. And so what will happen is the element is going to move immediately from its first position to its last position. So once it moves to its last position, record where it ends up in its last position. And then invert, that's the I, that means move the element from its last position to its first position. So making it look like nothing ever happened, right? Like if you're a teenager having a house party and your parents are coming home and you want to clean and make it look like nothing happened. Sort of the same idea. I don't know. It's the first analogy that came to my head. And then P is play. So we go from that illusion of it being in the first position to it being in the last position, which you could use transform, translate, scale to do all of that.
Right.
So 4 simple steps. Last, invert, play.
That's right.
And so what we're going to do is we're going to take our first image wrap. And so should we? Let's do this. Let's give it a data key, just to equals image 1. We're just going to commit that. And then we're going to give our final image. Where is it? Right here. Data key equals image 1. Now, that data key is going to relate those two completely separate elements, and we're going to use those two to give the illusion that it's the exact same elements. And so let's see what we have. Click so. Can't spell. Const image1 equals document.query selector, and then we have data key equals image1. So we're getting that first image before we do anything, right? And so const first rect equals image1 dot get bounding client rect. It's hard to remember. Well, let's console.log that. Console.log first rect.
Here real quick.
So when we click, nothing happens. What did I do wrong? Unexpected token. Oh, oops. Sorry. Okay. So we see that we have bottom, height, left, right, to JSON, whatever. That okay, cool. Top with XY. I actually did not know that it had a to JSON method, but I guess it does. So that's cool. And so that's going to be our first. So we're a quarter of the way there. We have our, we'll just do this first. All right. And then we change the layout. And then we have a new, or sorry, let's call it next image one, which might be the same one, might be a different one. We don't know. Equal that same that. Oh, so hold on.
Yeah,
so yeah, we have to figure. Actually, all right, yeah. Let's do this. We'll call this one small image one, and then we'll call this one big image one. Sound good?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Just for illustrative purposes. So we have our small image and we have our big one, and we identify them differently. So big image one. Then we're going to do the same thing that we did before. We're going to get the bounding client rectangle of our newly moved so big image one, and let's console.log that. Console.log fast rect. So let's console.log first rect. All right, let's see if this works.
Looks like it to me.
Cool. And so we have two different dimensions. Now, we could use this information and we could use that to animate smoothly between one view to the next. And so in order to do that, we have to find the inverse. So we have to make this small rectangle look like it's in the first position. So how do we do that?
Manually?
I have some copy pasta that we could use. And then I'll explain it right over here. So we find the delta, and delta just means change if you're not familiar with that word. So delta, we take the first rectangle. Like, so for example, if we're trying to figure out the delta x, we're going to take the first rectangle and take the left position and subtract it from the last rectangle. So that's going to give us the distance traveled between the first position and the last position. So let's console.log, just for example, delta x, delta y. And so, I forgot to add our console.clear to the top. If you run that, you're going to see the delta that traveled. So we click, and then we see that it traveled 36.5, or well, whatever yours says. Yours might be a different.
Definitely depends on your screen, but yeah, we've got the distance there.
Cool. So yeah, we could use that. And so this would be our invert step right over here. And then we have our play step right over there. And so right now, Shaw's going to directly apply a transform. And so you're going to be able to see how that's going to work. We might want a template string for that.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to do. Delta x. But that probably needs to be negative, doesn't it?
No, you're fine.
Yeah? Okay.
Yep.
Delay.
And the reason why is because we did first minus last. If we did last minus first, which makes more semantic sense, but then you have to do the whole negative dance. I don't know. I just like this better. Doing first minus last gives you the correct measurements right off the top.
Yeah. Is that correct?
Yeah, but we probably have to add a transform to that image wrap, or sorry, a transition to that image wrap.
Well,
this
this would be under the invert, and then request animation frame.
Aha, yeah. Cool. Yeah, let's do it that way. And then I'm going to tidy.js real quick. There we go.
I'll do this up here, and then this will be transform. Whoop. I already did that. All right, transform equals,
and then
empty string.
Would be that. Oh, okay. Right. So what we're doing is we're inverting it real quick, like before the screen even gets a chance to render the final results. Right. And then on request animation frame, we're just removing that transform. So let's try that out. Oh, no, it didn't quite do it.
Yeah, let's inspect and see what's happening.
Let's make sure we did everything right. Now, there's another way to do this too if your browser supports it, but we're doing it like the sort of the universal way, just because not everyone's browser might have the web animation API.
Image style transform is something off with the transform declaration there?
Is there?
I don't know. Let's see.
Let's see, big agent on that style transition, that style, that transform. Yeah, I don't see any styling happening on the image, which, yeah. Okay. Well, let's do it the let's just do it the web animation way.
Well, hold on. Let's make sure that that transform is being applied, because it doesn't look like that's being applied for some reason.
Sorry, I'm moving your cursor.
One style.
Oh, let's try this API. Yeah. Maybe this one works using the set property API.
Yeah. Nothing.
Cool. It's funny, we're showing you all the harder way to do this rather than the easier way. So, right, backtracking a bit, let's use the web animations API in order to do it, just because it sounds scary, but it's actually a pretty easy API. So big image one dot animates. I mean, that's all you have to do. Animate, and then what you would do is yeah, you would pass, and we're basically doing like a from and to keyframes, so we could just do an array. So this would be this transform, and then we have that translate over here, and then we go to transform none. And so let's clean that up. Yeah, there we go. And then the duration is just going to be 300, and that's in milliseconds. So, still looks to not really want to be.
Is it because we're going from display none?
You know what? It might be.
That's where our friend visibility hidden comes into play.
All right. Go ahead and add that. So, yeah, let's see what's going on here.
Yeah, still get nothing.
Nothing?
Mm-mm.
All right, time to debug this animation. And this is, honestly, I use the animations tab more often than I thought I would over here, just because it. Oh, you know what? I might be stupid. I mean, oh, wait, no, I'm not stupid. But, yeah. No, the data key is on the right one. Okay,
Yeah.
so we have
Right,
track.
the element's correct. We're getting the right calculations.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what if we try this in the actual, I'm trying this in the actual console, so don't edit anything real quick. And like, all right, so if I do 100 pix, big image one is not defined. Okay, no, I'm a dummy. All right, so we have our invert and we have play. You know what? I'm gonna propose something crazy over here. Ready? Big image one dot style dot set property. Just flip. We'll call it flip, and then we're gonna copy paste this. Translate over here. Oh wait, no. This is yeah. We're gonna use CSS variables basically.
For debugging, always nice
Cool.
to set.
Yeah, that's like the easiest way to debug. Okay, cool. So ideally, when we do the animation, we should see that big image one has that CSS variable applied to it, and it doesn't look like it does. Right. That's weird. Okay, let me make sure that our key is correct and everything. So we have our big image one.
Let's log big image one right here. Nope, it's not defined because it's going to be a big image one. Okay. Yep, that's the proper image.
That's what you get when you live code. You have all these technical difficulties, but nothing that's necessarily insurmountable. Just gotta figure it out.
Yeah, let's see. The chat. Right. Oh. Yeah, pointing out in the chat are typos.
You know, it's always the simplest things.
Hey, right? There we go. We've got an outline. We've got all that. So let's.
Wow, yeah. Thank you, whoever. You know, Tiki Talks. You are really, really good.
All right, so let's go back to the original simple method here. Yep.
Cool. So it looks like it does move.
Yes.
A little bit oddly, but we do have some movement going on, so that's actually really good.
So yeah, what we want to do is in the request animation frame, add the transition, and then set the transform null.
Yeah.
Just ignore.
Yeah, so basically, when we invert it, we don't want any transition because we want that to happen instantaneously. Right. Remember, we want to make it look like nothing moved yet, and that's why we're doing that inversion. And then on the next animation frame, when everything's already rendered to the screen, then we want to change the transition and transform so that it smoothly transitions to its original position. And so what you'll see is that it does that. Now, it doesn't look exactly right, and that's only because we didn't set our transform origin. Like over here, if we set our big image one dot style dot transform origin equals top left, then we're going to see that's a more accurate. Cool. Yeah. And so now what we could do is animate the width as well. So we have this translate delta x, delta y, and we could also scale that as well. So we It's scale delta W, delta H, and that's for width and height, respectively. So let's see if that works.
Whoop. Yeah.
Nice.
It works on the first run.
On the first run, okay. So let's figure out what's happening on the.
Well, it's because we're only doing the flip technique one way. We're just going from small image to big image.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you could see like what it takes to get from
Right. It's really just a matter of switching the targeted selectors in the same way that we're flipping the state. I could do a mini state machine to help handle that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we could actually I could tackle that real quick if you want to go over some other animation details.
Sure, I can do the border animation real quick, or the text
animation. Yeah, that's
a
pretty cool detail. Mm-hmm.
So I've got this bordered title class for the gallery. Well, actually, it's on here and here. And so what I'll do is for data scene equals gallery. Nope, data scene equals detail. I'll go in there and bordered title. We'll set our before and after to.
If things don't work, it's my fault. It's because I'm JavaScripting.
Yes. Animation. Let's see. Set a transition here. Transform. 4 seconds. 0.5, 0, 0.5. See what the just attempt this really quick.
Yeah, by the way, there just talking about the flip technique again, there are some caveats to transforming scale when you're flipping. For simple things like this, where you don't have any child elements inside the thing that's being flipped, it works just fine. However, when you do have child elements inside and you don't want those child elements stretched or looking all weird, then you have to. It's weird. We have different techniques on it, but your first instinct would be to apply an inverse scale to it, but that sort of looks weird if you use any other easing except linear. So we go in detail about that in other episodes, but for this one, we're just going to stick with a simple flip technique. Yeah. Okay. Image 1, big image 1. So we have first rectangle. And let's change the name of this. This is going to be.
There we go. All right, so I've got that happening really simply for our bordered title under data scene equals detail. I've got it transform scale x 0, and then when data state is detail on the app, it scales in. But there's also just a really nice transition on the text as well. So we'll do that, and then there's a bit of a staggering, which actually it's not staggering. It triggers at the same time. It's actually staggering the duration, if that's the proper term. So what we would do here is after, let's just move this up here to group it all together. We would say after transition duration 0.6 seconds. Did you break the transition?
I did indeed. Hold on. Data set state. Let me fix in like 2 seconds.
There we go.
Here we go.
All right. So yeah, you can see how that second line is coming in a little bit slower. Actually speed that up a little bit. And what we'll do here, we'll also say h1, and then h1 transform translate x 50%, opacity 0.
Yeah, I broke something again.
As per usual. Let's see, we'll copy this.
Now it's fixed.
Here. Transform 0.4. And we'll also add the opacity in there. Since I always make that linear. Opacity can feel really weird if you do it with a strong easing. I always lean towards having it be linear. There we go. Should be a little bit smoother. Let's see, let's watch that in real time to see. Yeah, this probably needs to be more like 6.5, something like that.
So Joseph Rex me says that he imagines us working on the same keyboard at the same time, and we actually are.
Yes. We have a KVM switch set up, connected via Ethernet.
Mm-hmm. And that's why you see some of the typos sometimes, and that's because sometimes you get double key presses, or
Right.
It becomes really tricky to synchronize the same keyboard at the same time.
Our fingers overlap.
But we manage. We definitely manage. We're good at what we do, okay?
Okay, that can slow down even more. Let's move that up.
Oh. It'd be cool if Cookin had, a built-in Prettier. If you've used Prettier, it's an auto-formatting tool, which is pretty nice, where when you save, it just formats your files.
Yeah, I've grown dependent on that for my main editor. There is the tidy option, which is quite helpful, but unfortunately, I don't think there's a Prettier port for Code Mirror. Let's see,
No, there's not. All right, well, I have my flipping stuff working, which is awesome.
You do?
Just don't click too fast. But it does work.
Does it now?
It does. Or does it not on yours?
It does not. Now I'm noticing they're the same data keys here.
They are now.
Oh, because you're querying the scene.
Yeah. Want to refresh? Not a bad idea. Actually, no. We don't need to. Just I
Too
promise
late.
you it works.
Yeah, it's not working over here.
Try clicking again. That usually solves the problem.
Nope,
Just multiple
I'm clicking quite a bit.
I'll send you a GIF. I promise it's working.
Is it related to this?
Yeah, so I did remove that because it's not really necessary.
Yeah, it's the only thing that's working over here.
Okay, well then there you go. We'll keep it. It's one of those things where it's like it's it's working, don't touch it.
2.5
Yeah.
seconds.
Nice. I like that cubic Bezier thing going on over there.
Joseph, that was a joke. This is collab mode. This is the built-in collaboration that happens in CodePen, so we don't actually have to be sharing a keyboard.
We're supposed to say when we're joking. I forgot
Yes.
about that.
Yes.
Yikes. Okay, we're joking.
Okay.
Now, so one thing, when you're going from the gallery state to the detail state, you have visibility hidden, which is great. And so inside, we can make each of those figures visibility visible. I'm warming up to your trick, right? And that way we could do sort of like an opacity 0 and just transition from there. Right.
What are you trying to accomplish?
So when you click one image, the other one should fade out smoothly.
Oh, right.
And let me see if we have that. Let's see if visibility hidden.
I think you're in the wrong one. Let's see.
Oh, yeah, sorry. That should be... No, I was in the right one, just in the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So, oh, wait, no, I was both in the wrong one and the wrong thing. So, yeah, so we'll copy pasta that to over...
There you go.
Oh, wait, yeah, you're right. Okay.
Yeah, that's not conditions always get a little hairy.
Right. So when we go to the detail, all those figures, we do want it visible, but we want it to transition smoothly to 0, and it doesn't quite look like it's doing that.
Well, okay. You go back down here and remove this.
What did you do?
Haha.
There we go.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, just to get it looking more like the original. And so, actually, just do all 0.5 seconds so we could transform, translate Y, just 100%. We just want to go all the way down. And actually, we could just add that transition to figure in general.
Yeah. Except that might interfere with our flipping. So one thing to do down here. Okay, you already did set transition none. That's great.
So.
Whoa. It gets a little funky when you're flipping back.
Oh, right. And so that's here. I gotcha. This is gonna be dumb. And this is just a little hack, but basically if it's not the first child, which is the one we're animating, and so or yeah, so basically not the first one. And yeah, it does do that little weird thing, and so we have to do the same over here. Not static key. Oh, well.
Yeah, that doesn't for that one. So yeah, first child is fine.
There we go. And so this is just for example purposes, really. in the future, we'll talk about how to structure this better and how you don't have to write all this JavaScript by hand, because we could just wrap this all into a nice little library, which I'm still working on. It's called Flipping if you want to look at version 1 of it, but version 2 is coming out soon. Shameless plug. But yeah, so now we have the images all fading down, and so yeah, we want that fig caption to sort of do the same thing.
Well, yeah, so right now you're applying that to the figure itself. We probably need to do that. We can do the opacity on the figure, and then that fades everything out.
Yeah.
Actually, you can do on the scene itself, opacity 0, and then fade all the at a scene. Oops, that's not it.
Well, that was some magic you did there.
Yeah.
Just a little little snippet up your sleeve.
Right.
Nice.
If I can remember the shortcut for it. Basically, transition, opacity, 0.5 seconds, linear, visibility. What is it? Visibility 0 seconds, linear 0.5 seconds. And then we'll do visibility hidden by default and opacity 0 by default. And then what we'll do up here is add data scene equals detail instead. Is visibility visible, opacity 1.
My brain's melting.
And then here, same thing here.
I mean, it looks a lot cleaner.
Right, this should be a little more direct. So let's do that and that.
So you're saying by default everything's going to be hidden,
right? And then
or well, all be data scenes rather.
Right, and
right.
Then we'll reveal based on state. Sorry, data scene equals detail. Actually, let's just comment this part out for now. Comment these portions out because we don't need that. Data scene. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Problem with that is we lose our flip.
Well, that's probably because of the we just had to not apply transitions to the first.
Well, data scene gallery. What we do here, data scene detail. Here, visible. Yeah, that's kind of working, but not quite. Yay. All right, let's just take off the opacity transition, and that should do it. Oh, I know what it is. Because the transition delay needs to be 0 seconds, 0 seconds here. That's the trick with that.
And so this stands for, well, yeah. One's for transition, or transform, one's for opacity, right?
Right.
Yeah. Also, for anyone getting started with CSS animations, you cannot do transition delay 0. It just does not work. You have to specify 0 seconds. I don't know why. I just remember that was a change that broke a lot of my pens. So.
Yes, same here. That was quite an issue for a lot of my client sites. I had to go back and just add an S everywhere.
Yeah. All right. So in the data scene gallery, all right. So we have data state detail, data scene detail.
Yeah, I'm about to move this.
Okay, no problem.
So that Just our code's a little cleaner and a little more smartly grouped. And then what we'll do is take this piece and let's see. So this was for data scene detail. Or no, this is, yeah, data scene equals detail. Data state equals detail, sorry. Data scene equals gallery.
Yep.
We want the image wraps to be...
Right, so this is basically when we're in the detail state, everything that's not in that detail state, we want it to, well, all right, so just the image wrap that's not data key.
Yep, that's working.
All right, so we have some weird fading out going on, so I'm going to just take your lead and do the opposite. So when we're in the gallery state, detail state, or sorry, for the detail scene, that image wrap, we want it to just display none. And the reason we want to display none is because we just want to have that disappear. And so basically that first image wrap, we want it to be, we don't want to really fade that out. So we don't want to apply opacity to, oh, right. You're doing opacity to the entire damn scene.
Right.
How about this? And that way we could better control the...
what did you do?
I killed everything.
You did. What did you change?
So, star. So the star selector could actually be useful. I know that it's... oops, wow, I don't know what's going on, but the star selector could be abused a lot, but it could also be really useful. So over here, I'm just saying that everything should be opacity 0 today. Yeah, I probably messed things up. So all we have to do is add opacity 1 over here, and we should be good to go. Nice. So we have a lot to talk about in our our Keyflections here.
Okay.
Except we still have that opacity applying to the
No, we don't. It's just that transition is overbearing on our image wrap here.
Okay.
What I would do is maybe the caret selector here. Yeah. There we go. Image wrap, rotate X. Wait, it should just be rotate. Yeah, and then we'll do negative, and then we'll do image within there. Transform, rotate 20 degrees. We'll get that nice effect, kind of scale 1.5. Something like that. Can actually leave that portion out for now. Whoa.
Sorry. Just playing around with the stuff.
Yeah, that's working nice.
Yeah. Pixels. All right. So. I think that's feeling good, except for the whole opacity stuff.
Well, what are you? Let's see.
I know you might be wondering, or everyone might be wondering, is there an easier way to do this? And yeah, there is.
That's right.
But our main goal for this episode was to talk to you about the flip technique and how to use just plain JavaScript in order to create that flip effect, or not flip effect, but the transitioning effect between one screen to the other.
You're talking about the weird opacity between the flipped item.
Yeah, or yeah. Love yes.
Uh, and then there's a weird thing with the flip where the it's like the image that's being flipped away is disappearing, and so the title is full width. Like if you go from the detail view back to the gallery view, you see that?
Yeah, it's an interesting little detail. This, I mean, this is good because it goes to show you how
Oh,
difficult
this is
like
what's happening.
simple animations or seemingly simple ones that you see on Dribble every day could be, especially
I got it.
coordinating between
Yeah.
screens.
It just helps when you structure your code properly. Live coding does not allow for
Yeah.
us to do that as nicely as we would like. But hey, if you check that out now, that should be working pretty nicely.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah, we still have that weird fade out thing. You know what? I'm gonna
yeah, let's see.
detail and oops, sorry. That image wrap.
Nope, that's not what we want.
Huh.
Because that's
Oh,
what's
because
right. So this you would say opacity 0.
okay, right, but then we have the problem of the image wrap in the first the data scene equals gallery fading from 0 to 100. So we have to change that.
There we go.
And that would be that data state gallery, data scene gallery. And so the transition is being applied to, well, pretty much everything. So, but not to the actual scene, right? Well, is the opacity applied to the scene?
No.
Okay, good. Phew. That makes this a lot easier because we could say that image wrap opacity 1. I wish I wish we could like specify the transition to not affect the opacity for that image wrap.
Say that again.
Because right now when we're going back, it's fading from 0 to 1, which is not what we want. Oh, okay. So just kidding. You're doing it on the figure.
Right, because
Gotcha.
it's the direct children of the item.
Gotcha. Okay, so we want uh basically transition none there.
Right. We can leave
And
that.
so we yes. Yes.
What did you what did you do to our content though? That disappeared.
That's a good question.
Let's see. Take that out. Nope, that's not it. What did we do, David? What did we do?
What I do?
No, we need.
Oh, you mean the Hello Rocks?
Right. The all the lorem ipsum content that's
Oh, did it
disappeared.
disappear?
Yeah. Did you do something?
Oh
to
man,
it?
I think it was under a copyright claim and they just took that down. It's been used everywhere, so they started cracking down on lorem ipsums being used everywhere.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Let's see. Opacity 1. Force that again.
Might want to talk to a lawyer about that.
Yeah.
Or it might also be the opacity too.
Well, yeah, but that. Oh, you changed this here too. Okay, that's what it is.
Aha. Sorry about that.
Yeah. All right.
Pair program, everyone.
Woo!
You get done twice as fast, but it takes twice as long to do things. So, yeah.
Transition delay. Calc 0.2 seconds times r I. Just for fun here. Let's do this as 8.
It's looking really good. And we do have that weird it jumping from zoomed in to not zoomed in, but that's okay. Little details.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just from that hover state. One of the things, let's see, let's clean this up because we don't need that. We're not doing that animation anymore for the intro because that's happening on the state. Let's see. Delay. It's fine. All right. So yeah, let's take off that hover and instead do filter. Filter. And there we go. That's a little more close to the original. We've got a desaturation effect. So we can do image and then transition, filter, it's linear. And then that way.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's good. And then of course we could add a just a nice line height. There was a really, oh man, I wish I remember where this was, but there was a really good CSS website that showed you how to progressively just make your very basic zero styling website just look great with a few simple tricks. And one of those was add a line height, add a max width, and yeah, I know that seems random, but what I did was I added line height 1.4, and I could actually do that to the roots, but I'll just do it to the app itself. And you get that nice spacing. Even 1.5 looks pretty nice too.
Yeah.
So.
All right. That's feeling pretty good so far.
Yeah.
I think we can bring this one to a wrap.
Let's do it.
Now. So now we're going to enter the part of the show known as Keyflections. We used to have a fancy animation for it. That's gone. Don't worry about it. It was great. But we're going to do a quick review of the techniques we used to build this animation. So if you have any questions, if you're just joining us or confused about something we did, we are too, but we will be happy to explain a little bit more of what's going on.
That's true. And also, if you've enjoyed watching us so far, which you are, you can follow and subscribe here on Twitch or YouTube if you're watching later on YouTube. Or you could pledge at patreon.com/keyframers, and the links are available right there.
That's right.
I don't know how Twitch works. It's one of these.
It's somewhere in that region or up there. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's down there. The subscribe button's over under David. There. Which,
yeah.
Am I looking the right way? There we go. Hey, David. Yeah. So, anyways, let's see. What's happening? Why did that?
Where'd the background go?
Yeah.
There we go.
All right. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I didn't.
All right. So let's go back to the animation really quick. We were building blown artworks and news platform artist interpage animation by Zinnia. And we're mainly focused on this first segment that I'll show here. So going from this kind of intro, which, hey, I didn't do that border animation on that one, but that's easy enough to add. Maybe while David's talking about something, I can do that.
Yeah.
So going from this view to this view. So.
Right. So a basic demonstration of the flip technique.
Right. Very basic. So right, flip. again is what, David?
So flip is a mnemonic device invented by Paul Lewis at Google that stands for first, last, invert, play. And that's a series of things you could do to elements that are changing from one view to another to give it the illusion that it's either the same element or even if it is really the same elements, it works pretty much the same way. So basically, if we go into the JavaScript, there's 4 steps, of course. The first is you figure out what the dimensions of the elements before changing the layout is, and then you go ahead and change the layout. And the way we're doing it here is we're using the data attribute, and so we're setting the states to, if it's on detail, then we go to gallery. If it's on gallery, we go to detail. Essentially, we're just toggling back and forth between gallery and detail.
This attribute up here on the app, that's what's going to toggle between our 2 states. We do that in the CSS, but the JavaScript is just changing that that state attribute with data set.
Right, and so we're keeping track of the scene elements to see which scene we're on. Now, one cool trick that you might not be aware of, not you, Shaw, I'm sure you're aware of, but other people might not be aware, is that you could actually use query selector on elements themselves. Remember, document is, well, it's sort of a DOM element. I mean, there's document.document elements.
Right. It's not the root element HTML. But it is kind of an element. At least they share some similar methods. But yes, elements themselves have query selector and query selector all on them.
Right. So we change the state, and so let's just say it changes from gallery to detail. We request the animation frame to wait for the layouts to change so that we could figure out where the position of the next image is. And so as you could see, we're using the exact same data key of image 1, and that's because we're targeting a different L scene. So the L scene that was up here is now different than the one over here, because see, we're changing it over here right before the request animation frame, just so that we know which scene we're on and which active elements to select. Then our last step, not the last step, it's the second step, but the L, the L part of flip, is to get the dimensions of that last, of that image, that next image. And then we invert it. And to invert it, this creates the illusion of it moving. So we're changing from, we're moving it in the X and Y axes. So we're trying to figure out like what the distance traveled on the X-axis is, what the distance traveled on the Y-axis is, and also how much it shrunk or grew. And so we do that by dividing the first rectangle's width by the last rectangle's width, and that gives us a number, or like a decimal number, a fraction basically. And then we do the same for the height. So it's very important over here to have transition to none, and that's because when we invert it, we want that to happen immediately. So we don't want any transition happening over there. We set the transform origin to top left, otherwise it looks weird with the scale. And then we set transform over to the inverse of what it is. So at this moment in time, the next image is its full width, full height, and at its final X and Y positions. Over here, we move it so that it looks like it was before the change happened. And that's what that whole inverse step is about. Then when we play it, we request the animation frame so that we let this render, and then on the next animation frame, which is when the browser does all of its style recalc, we set the transition to ½ second and set a fun little cubic Bezier over here. And then we set the transform to none. And what this is going to do is it's going to undo all of that inverse transition transform stuff that we did. And it's going to move it back to its original position. But it's going to do so in a very smooth way. And so it's going to give you that illusion of the same elements moving from one state to the next state. And that's flip in a nutshell.
That's a flip in a nutshell. Sure is. So yeah, this has a lot of uses, especially for real app-like web pages. and it can be quite handy to use. There are libraries out there to help with that, like David's flipping library, which is much easier than doing all of this manually. So if you're interested in flipping, this is kind of the guts behind all of it, but use a library, make life easy on yourself. Vue's transition element actually has some of this built in. The transition group element has some flipping stuff in it. So that's a real easy way to get going too.
Yeah.
All right. So our scene transitions, we're using a visibility hidden trick to hide the scene. If the state is detail and the scene is detail, it's visible. If the state is gallery and the scene is gallery, it's visible. And then we're transitioning the opacity of all the child elements so that they hide appropriately. And then, let's see. So for the image wraps falling away, we did a similar kind of thing. If the state is detail and the scene is gallery, we want the image wraps to translate off and rotate to the bottom. Let's see. We had to do a few overrides for things like the figure to make sure that the flipping transition works properly. So just keep that in mind, that other transitions may affect your flip. Let's see. And then for our bordered titles, so that's actually some pseudo elements that are making up the border. And then, for example, in the detail view, they're scaled down. They have a transition transform coming in from the right. And then if the data state is detail, then they scale up. So the similar sort of thing is happening with the gallery view. Right.
It's pretty crazy. Transition, transform, and translate are just all very similar words.
Yeah, it's very easy to get tongue-tied with that. Well, cool. Anything else we need to go over from here?
No, I think we got all the basics down.
Yeah, I think that's
and you're gonna see in future episodes. This is gonna take like 5 minutes to do.
Right.
And not 2 hours. And that's the beauty of CSS variables in libraries.
It is. So yeah, that's all we've got for you today. You've been watching Keyframers. If you've enjoyed this episode and would like to see more from David and I, there are many ways you can support us. You can subscribe and participate on the live streams every week. Remember, if you have Amazon Prime, you can use a Twitch Prime subscription at no cost to you to support the channel. That's an amazing way to help us out. You can also like and subscribe at youtube.com/keyframers, where we'll have the video for this episode and all of our other episodes up for watching. And the best way you can support us is by pledging at patreon.com/keyframers. That will help us out tremendously.
And remember, we do accept submissions for future episodes. This week's submission was brought to you by Nexi.
That's right.
At NEXII.
Box emoji.
So thank you so much for this challenge. It's a nice one. We've done previous ones like this before, and so it's really nice to use this to go back to the basics. Or basics. I mean, this is a lot more complicated than it needs to be, and we get it, and that's why we're here to help you out.
Right.
Yeah, you could also present questions or challenges to us that we'll try to answer on the air, and so please share this video and demo across your social platforms, especially when we get the demo out.
That's right. Yeah, all this code and the video for it will be available for you to peruse at your leisure and to share around. So that's all for today. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, adios, enemy.